Good evening. My name is Keith Romano. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Inland Wetlands Commission meeting for the town. Today is May 27th, 2020, and the time is 7:03 p.m. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, which we don't have to stand. Do we stand?
No. Actually, we don't even have a flag.
We have a flag.
So it's up
Okay,
to
so we
you.
skip the Pledge of Allegiance. So moving right along. I'd like to introduce the members of the commission and staff present tonight. Starting with myself, Romano, our office manager, Don Shazinski. We got Denise Halstead, Inland Wetlands agent. Sarah Stroud, recording secretary. This really, because I'm looking at the picture. We have Lois Spencer, our vice chair and secretary. We got Clark Gingras, EJ Hall, Jim Stewart, who's the treasurer, Ross Mastroraco. That's everybody, right?
BJ?
He said BJ.
Okay. I believe that's everyone.
That's good, right? Before we start, I'll read our mission statement, how the meeting will proceed. This is a little different, but the objective and purpose of the Inland Wetlands Commission is provided for the overall protection and preservation of the inland wetlands and water courses with the town of Monroe. In the normal course of our meetings, we will hear public hearings and other applications. The protocol for public hearings is to have an applicant make a presentation to the commission, during which and after which the commission will be asking the applicant questions. The commission will then review town staff and other independent comments. The meeting will then be open for public comment. I'll ask that all comments be made to the chair or commission. After any and all comments pro and opposition of general nature are made, the applicant may be given an opportunity to respond. Not necessarily that the applicant respond, but generally in the best interest to do so. There will be no further opportunity for new questions unless new materials entered or testimony during the response. Please keep all comments pro and con specific to inland wetlands related matters. Other applications that do not involve a public hearing will follow a similar format with the exception of public comment allowed. Meeting calls or published agenda unless otherwise amended. Are there any changes to the agenda? Are there?
Okay, so the first order of business.
What? You know what? I just realized I don't have it.
What's the matter, Keith?
I don't have the agenda.
You didn't get your packet?
Oh, is it in the pack? Oh, hold on. I'll be right back.
Is it just me? Keith's microphone breaking up a lot.
It's breaking up.
Okay.
This is breaking up, yes.
There's great alternatives. Here's a $15 plug-in microphone that solves that problem.
Okay. Okay. Regulated activity. Oh, wait. General public participation. Is there anybody here that wants to speak in the general?
Yes, I'd like an opportunity to speak.
Okay. We should probably unmute everybody.
I'm sorry, can you hear him?
Well, everybody's,
Good evening,
there's still people muted, so. Okay, well, sir, please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, good evening. My name is Joel Green. I practice law in Bridgeport with the law offices of Green and Gross. And I appear before you this evening on behalf of the Thomas C. and Stella McGonis 1988 Family Trust. The owner of the premises at 36 Timothy Road. I'm here tonight to discuss with you, or at least briefly address you on the 64 Cambridge 4 Enterprise Drive matters. I have filed a verified notice of intervention by email, and I'd be happy to hold my comments till you take that matter up based on my notice of intervention, or I'm happy to address you now briefly during public comment. I'm happy to accept the guidance of the chair on that.
The commission has not been made aware of that since I just got it by email. So the commission does not have a copy of your intervention letter as of yet. I do have a copy that I can put up and share with them if need be.
We can display that.
Excuse me, Keith?
Let's display that. Can we put that up so we can all read?
The document, yes. Sorry, hold on one second. Let's see. Hold on one second, I have to get it back up.
You know, my remarks are actually very brief, and I don't mean to put the secretary to a lot.
There you go. But you can go ahead and speak, Mr. Green, Attorney Green.
All right. We can put some lights on here. So, as you can see from the notice of intervention, I represent Peter Metropolis, who's the trustee of the Thomas C. and Stella Maganis 1988 Family Trust. Once again, the trust owns the property that abuts those properties at 64 Cambridge and 4 Enterprise. We have filed a petition to intervene in response to an application, and I do understand that procedurally the application has not probably been officially received by the commission yet because we haven't reached that agenda item. But I just wanted to briefly, and I don't think that there's any question that we can intervene in the permit proceeding, but I just wanted to be sure that I had a brief opportunity to address the commission this evening. And I just wanted to bring this to the commission's attention. I first appeared before the commission in December, and at that time, my client had expressed significant concerns about the activities that had been conducted on the site, on the subject property. My client was concerned about the activities that were ongoing on the subject property, and my client had asked the commission to issue a cease and desist until that we could all get a better idea of what was happening on the site. And as you may recall, in December, it was decided that the commission would not issue a desist. I had filed a petition to intervene at that or after that date, and it was the position of the town attorney, which who I respect, but I respectfully disagree on that point, that we could not intervene in the violation proceeding. But in any event, I was assured at the meeting that by the commission and also by the remarks by the applicant, that the applicant would soon be filing an application for a permit that the applicant was surveying the site, investigating the site, and that they would come back with a robust plan to restore the site. And that was going to happen by February 26th. And then, as the commission may be aware, we all appeared on February 26th. And at that point, the commission, the applicant had not, unfortunately, fully completed its work. There was a presentation made to some degree. And at that point, I had urged, well, at that point, I believe that I can't recall, but I either wrote to the commission or urged the commission to once again issue a cease and desist until the commission could really fully understand the nature and extent of both the condition of the site and the activities that were proposed to be conducted there. And the commission at that time declined to do that. The applicant indicated that it would be filing an application for a wetland permit to address all of these issues on or before April 5th or April 6th. The commission asked several pointed questions. I am most struck by, and I'm looking at your minutes, at the end of your minutes from February 26th, specifically, Chairman Spence asked if processed material is currently or will be removed from the site. And in response, Mr. Karp stated that processing has ceased and no material is being taken off the site. And my client has provided me with ample evidence that that is in fact not true, or was not true after that occurred, after that hearing, and that in fact material is being imported into the site and material is being brought off the site routinely, or was up till at least several weeks ago. That the activity is continued unabated. And I just think that here we sit, it's May 27th, as I understand it. The commission will receive this application this evening. And I just think that in the fair exercise of the jurisdiction of this commission, that this commission really ought to bring all activities to a standstill unless and until the commission has a full understanding of both the condition of the site, the activities that are proposed, the activities that have been conducted, the activities that will be conducted, and in an informed way can make a decision about the permit, about the proposed remediation. It's kind of an interesting problem, because if we can get this done quickly, then there's no harm to the applicant, because perhaps the commission can reach conclusion on this quickly and the short period of time won't be harmful to the applicant. And if it's going to take a long time, then really the applicant shouldn't be allowed to continue these activities without a permit. And I would just urge the commission at this point, once again, May 27th, 5 months or more after we first started this discussion, to really let's preserve the status quo. Let's bring all activities to a standstill, and once again, make a full and informed decision before any more work is done on this property. And I'm sorry to take up so much time during public participation, particularly in this virtual world, and I greatly appreciate your patience in hearing me this evening. And I look forward to addressing you with respect to my intervention at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to say of a general nature during general public participation? Kevin, state your name. Well,
You can't hear Kevin? You got to unmute Kevin. Kevin, we can't hear
Kevin,
you.
you're silent.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I'm caller 2, just in case everyone, just so we can, when I need to speak, you can unmute that line. Thank you. First, I just want to say thank you to the commission for holding this virtual meeting. I know this is very foreign to everyone. We've actually been really successful in having a number of these online meetings in a number of other municipalities since March, when COVID-19 obviously impacted everyone greatly. So I'm really excited to see this commission start to embrace this and to get back into some semblance of normalcy. I'd obviously prefer to be with everyone in person in council chambers, but I'm excited that we can all be together virtually in this setting. I just wanted to provide a quick response to Attorney Green's comments. Just to provide some clarification, obviously we were at those meetings, and I am working for the applicant and responding to that notice of violation for 64 Cambridge Drive and 4 Independence Drive. I just want to clear up a couple of quick statements. When we did meet with the commission, we did indicate that we would be providing a response to that violation on that February 26th meeting, which we did do, and then we agreed to provide a submission to the commission to address all of those unregulated activities which took place from a previous owner of those properties. Obviously, in April, COVID-19, or in March, COVID-19 hit and everyone was impacted. This commission had several meetings that were canceled. We were working with town staff to have pre-application meetings, which was the result, or which was the reason that our formal submission was delayed. This is obviously the first meeting the commission has had since. We've made our formal application, our comprehensive application, to address those prior activities on the property. That has been submitted and it will be accepted at tonight's meeting. I will just say that we acknowledge and recognize that this is a substantial application, and we would request that the commission please consider it as such, and we acknowledge that we would expect this to be dealt with a public hearing, so we would like to request that the commission do that and schedule that public hearing so we can get this process started as quickly as possible. We do believe that we want to work expeditiously through the processing of this application, and we'd like to move that forward as quickly as the commission can work with us to do that. I just want to clarify those statements, and we believe we've met everything that we've committed to on this, and we're very anxious to work with the commission to get that application processed and move through the process. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for a general public participation? Mr. Stone?
It's actually Mr. Carp and Mr. Stone.
Mr. Carp, well, it says Stone, so.
Yeah, it's both of us.
State your name.
It's Arnold Carp. I am actually one of the owners of the property that was just discussed by Attorney Green. I won't go into detail on what is accurate and what is inaccurate, but we're in front of the commission with a very thorough plan, which was handed in yesterday for the commission's review. We tried to do a review prior with staff, but I think that is an all-encompassing plan. We are here to resolve the problems, not to make the problems greater. But again, we have to work with wetlands, which we're happy to do. We do have permits that are open and being used at the piece of property currently. But we welcome the commission's review on this, I believe in the June meeting, at which point we will further address Attorney Green's comments in relation to this property. But I believe on your agenda items for this evening is my neighbor's property getting bonds back from wetlands, where I don't believe there's been any work done there. So again, if we're going to be held to a certain standard, I would suggest and hope that everybody would be held to the same standards.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. Anybody else for general public participation? I don't see anybody else. And there's some people here I don't see their, I don't see their screen, or I don't see them. Are they potentially missing out something? Denise? Denise, can't hear you.
You're talking, oh, okay, Donna's muted, but I don't see them
Sorry.
either. I don't know if they're
It's
missing.
okay. They are participants. They can come and listen to the meeting and watch and see everything, but they don't have to share their screen. They're not participating. They're just
Oh, they're just
attending
observing.
the meeting.
They're
Yeah.
just observing, so they wouldn't. So that's them that's actually keeping themselves off camera.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I understand. Okay. Fine. All right. So on to regulated activities. Subdivision report recommendation P&Z Commission. There's none. Regular meetings. No public input. IWC 2019-09A1. 17 Enterprise Drive. Amendment to previously approved site development. Outdoor storage. Extension of detention basin. Addition of subsurface detention to accommodate increased impervious surface, and additional landscape planting required under P&Z approval. You're getting a presentation on this tonight? No, we're
Yep.
determining.
No, Kevin's here.
Kevin, yep. I can't hear him though.
Hi, good evening. Hi, good evening, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Kevin Soley. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Connecticut with Soley Engineering, offices here in Monroe at 501 Main Street. Donna, if you could make me the presenter, I'll be able to just share my screen and just run through the presentation for the commission.
Kevin, can you help me with that? Let's see.
Sure. Click on the people on the top right.
Yeah.
Go down to where it says Kevin Soley. Click on the little down arrow and say make presenter.
Okay, you are on, my dear.
Great.
Thank
Would you
you
like
for
me to
your help.
mute myself? Let me mute myself.
Absolutely. Okay, so thank you, members of the commission. So we're here tonight to make a very minor change to the wetlands approval that was issued for 17 Enterprise Drive. The site's located in the Pepper Street Business Park, and it was recently approved for a phase 2 of that project, which included a second building towards the rear of the property. During the public hearing process, or during the planning and zoning process, as part of our wetlands application, we had approved an outdoor storage area, which we initially proposed to be gravel. During the planning and zoning process, the commission requested that we pave this area, which our applicant agreed to. When we introduced that additional impervious surface and pavement surface, we were forced to reevaluate our stormwater detention system and stormwater management system, and we had to expand some of our stormwater detention to accommodate the increase in runoff associated with that small increase in area. You should be, sorry, there was a little bit of a lag there. You should be seeing that screen now. So this plan is a red overlay. It shows the minor changes that we made as part of that modification. We had to slightly expand our stormwater quality basin to increase some additional capacity in that basin area closest to the building. And you should be able to see if I can get, all right, laser pointer too, great. So we had to make a very small increase in the detention basin in this location here. While we were able to increase some capacity, we had to also add some additional underground detention area which we located in front of the building in this location here. Additionally, we had to make a very minor tweak to the location of the dumpster pad. It's shifted ever so slightly, but that shift did end up locating that within the regulated area. So that is something that we're also requesting this commission to consider. So what we submitted was overlays of our grading and drainage plan, which showed these modifications here. This is the currently proposed plan. And then from a landscape standpoint, when we made these small shifts to the detention basin and the dumpster pad, we had to make corresponding modifications to some plant locations. This red overlay shows what that was. Additionally, they requested that we remove some non-native plant materials. We removed, I believe, Japanese andromeda and some hollies. They wanted us to replace those with some other alternative plants, which we did as part of our application. And then this represents what our current plan is. These changes are very, very minor in nature. We did not modify the extent of our limits of disturbance. We did not encroach any closer to the wetlands edges. We're maintaining the same extensive buffer plantings and enhancing the plants in and around the basin. This is just a very, very minor modification from a drainage standpoint to expand that basin in this location and add this underground detention. We have gone through the detailed technical review of our drainage with Scott Schatzline, the town engineer. As part of our review of approval process for the planning and zoning approval, we have met and satisfied all of those conditions, with the exception of one minor detail regarding the sign, which we are currently resolving with planning and zoning staff. The only outstanding issue would be to get this modification approved by this commission. And once this commission deems that these minor changes are acceptable, we'll be able to finalize this process and get this building under construction. The applicant is very excited and eager to get going, which I think is a great testament to the town of Monroe, that despite even in these uncertain times with COVID-19 and the impact of the economy, that there's an opportunity here to create some additional investment in the community, to create some additional jobs, and what we think will be a great improvement in addition to the business park, to add this additional, industrial use to the property, to service the community. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
We'll start with Lois. Do you have any comments or questions? Okay. We take down. I can't. There's something here where I can't see everybody. How do I see everybody again?
Keith, if you go back to there's now a smaller GoToMeeting box, and if you click on that, that'll have the smaller window of video screens. If you click on underneath the little people icon where it says view active cameras, if you click on the right of that, you can detach the cameras, and then that camera screen will go big again so you can see everyone's face.
But you still lost me. So where do I go now? Start from the beginning.
Okay, so you should still be able to see a very small box that still says GoToMeeting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then if you click on the right hand side of where it says active cameras, you can click detach cameras, and then you can make the video screens large again.
I'm on the wrong box. I'm on the upper left of my screen. It says GoToMeeting with a drop down menu. So that must not be the one you're talking about.
That is actually, yes. So there should be some cameras underneath there, but there should be a button that you can push that says detach cameras, and then the cameras will be detached. No?
Okay.
Nobody said this was going to be perfect the first time out.
Keith, what are you seeing? Are you seeing the map with the pictures above?
I see the map, and I only see a couple of
Okay, above the center window, there's something that's going to say view active cameras or view who's talking or something above there with two arrows, one up and one down.
I see. It's right here under view everyone.
Click on that, and then pick view active cameras.
Okay. That helps.
And then if you click to the right of that, if you click detach cameras, it'll make it full screen again.
All right. Well, it's not working, but all right. So let me. So let's start with Lois. Lois, you're on mute. Do you have any comments or questions? Lois, can't hear you. What?
I am muted.
Don, I think you have to unmute her again.
Donna seems muted too right now.
Donna is muted.
There you
All
go.
right, I'm not, there you go. There are 3 Loises, and I'm having a lot of trouble trying to figure out which Lois to be on.
But there's only one Lois.
But she's right. There's 3 of them.
Can't she unmute herself? Lois, just click on the microphone in your picture.
On the bottom of the screen.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
I have had nothing but technical difficulties, so my apologies to all of you.
It's all right. It's all getting video recorded.
Oh, good. I do not have, I would reserve that comment. I don't have a comment. I would reserve that space until other people have asked their question. Because I'm not really sure. I missed a lot of the presentation too. Like I said, I'm having a lot of technical difficulties. So it's been challenging.
All right, then we'll move along to Jim Stewart. Any questions or comments?
I don't have comments at this time.
Okay, Clark? Ingris, do you have any questions or comments? Muted also. No, you're not.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. My only comment is that it doesn't look like it's a major change. I mean, it looks a little bit better than it did before, so you know, I'm fine with it.
All right, DJ Hall, do you have any questions or comments?
I have no questions, no comments.
Ross, do you have any questions or comments?
No questions, no comments.
Okay, we'll start over in Lois. Do you have, at this point, have anything else?
Well, I wanted to see what Denise had to say because I don't recall getting a comment sheet from her, and she might have some comments that we didn't pick up on.
No, really none of the comments. You know, we had told them that they had to pave and grade away from the wetlands, which they succeeded in doing. Because of the increase in impervious area, they have an underground system and then change the shape of the detention itself. But they didn't change any limits of disturbance or anything like that. They're all in the same location that we had previously approved the first time around.
Good to me.
Good. Then I have comments.
Sorry?
I said, that's great. Then I have no further comment.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion? Oh, wait, is there any other
We don't do that right now.
any other
Oh,
exhibits?
No.
We do next.
Denise, you have the folder. Are there any exhibits? I don't think there are.
Hold on. No.
Okay. It's just
No.
a regular review, so I didn't think there
Yeah.
would be any.
No, yeah, I just want to make sure myself.
then if the applicant's okay with it, should we close the meeting?
Close the review on this one.
Close the review.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. We'd appreciate that. We're, as I said, the applicant's excited to get this moving. All we just need is this commission's endorsement of these minor revisions, and you know, there could likely well be a building starting in June. So we're very excited about that.
Great. All right. Thank you very much. Moving down to public hearings, we have none.
Kim,
LV discuss.
Yeah, let me turn
Did I
my
miss
screen off.
something? Oh, there we go.
there we
That's
go.
better. Okay. We're on to NOV discussions. correct?
Mhm.
IWV 2019-1380 Monroe Turnpike, disturbance in Upland review area 60-day time extension requested to address violation due to pandemic, received 4/22/20.
Motion to approve 60-day extension, IWV 2019-15.
A motion to give a 60-day time extension. Do we have a second?
Second,
That was Clark.
yes.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Gingrich. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hold on. Ross is still,
He's-
Ross, you're still muted.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, now you can vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any,
Okay, I can't tell how many that is, so
I
could
know,
you just state your name?
everybody raise your hand of an appendage of some sort. That you vote aye.
Okay, Jim, I, Clark, I, Keith, I, Lois, I, BJ, and Ross. Okay, thank you.
All set. Remediation submissions. IWV 2014-04, 64 Cambridge, unpermitted excavation in a regulated area. Submission by 4/7/2020. Correspondence received 4/7/20, noting requesting change of submission date.
So this is, I guess, the new application.
This is now the new application, correct?
Okay,
This, if this was because they weren't going to make it for the April, they asked for the time extension.
Hmm.
But then we never met in,
okay, so now we have the new one that's gonna get accepted tonight, which, by the way, we forgot to do, the adding of any items to the agenda. And, 64 Cambridge for Independence was one that I had to add to the agenda in order for it to go, under application hearing determinations.
Is you done now? You want to do that now?
Yeah, I mean, that's our next item, so.
All right. Well, do we have any changes to the agenda?
yes,
Would be, the first one would be IWC 2020-03R 64 Cambridge and 4 Independence, which is a new application that we received today for site development and restoration. We also received the letter for intervenor status, but that would be under item D and under the second 170 Purdy Hill. Denise, was there another addition?
yes, we have the bond request for 575 Monroe Turnpike, IWC 2018-15. It was in my pile, but I guess we didn't put it on the,
Okay, and say that, can you say that slowly again? It was-
IWC 2018-15.
1515,
Yes, 15.
okay, and what address?
575 Monroe Turnpike.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So Keith, is it all right to go on to application hearing determination?
Well, are we done with the remediation submission, or is that just an extension?
It was the yes, that was we received the new application today.
Okay. All right, so application hearing determination. AWC 2020-02, 170 Purdy Hill Road, De Silva, single family home, reinstate previously approved application. I guess that's 06.
Denise, do you want to explain this?
Sure, this was a 2-lot subdivision back in 2005, I believe. 2006. It was approved, but they never took any permits out or did any further filing work associated with it, and the permit expired. So they have since come back in as a new application. 2 things that I did have them add to the plan, even based on the approved plan. When this was done in 2006, it had a 50-foot offset from the wetlands, which now we are at a 100-foot offset. So I had them fix that. And then, yeah, I could spit it out. Planning and zoning had a condition that there had to be a note put on a plan that there's easement access to the lot next door for maintenance of the septic system. So that note was added onto the plan too. So the plan is identical to what was approved in 2006 with the 2 additions.
That you should have received in the mail in your packet. 170.
I move that we bring to a public hearing.
No, so this is just a reinstatement of something that was already approved. I don't believe the first one had a public hearing, but honestly, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I walked this site today, and can I speak?
Go ahead, Lois.
Am I there?
Yes. Go.
Hello?
In here.
Oh, something went wrong.
She's frozen, it seems.
Yes, she is.
Oh. Okay. This when it was approved.
I'm not even sure who's speaking. Oh, Lois. All right.
We didn't have an agent.
Are you alive, Donna?
We had very few people on the commission. At the time I was in the audience, it was before I was on the commission. I moved that we bring this to a public hearing because there are houses around it, and this may have significant impact.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Spence. Move this to a public hearing. Is there a second?
Second, Jim Stewart.
Commissioner Stewart. By show of hands. Yes. Unanimously. Is public
Okay.
hearing. All right. Almost. All right. So now we are on to the 64 Cambridge, right?
Mhm.
Correct.
Now, what I didn't do, I didn't write down what it was. It was IWC 2020-03.
Yes.
Are, yes.
Um,
Now, I sent you an email with a link that had the information, and you also had Kevin's statement at the beginning of the meeting.
so Kevin solely requested to go right to public hearing. Does someone want to make a motion to move 64 Cambridge and for independence to a public hearing?
Motion that we go to a public hearing.
A motion for Commissioner Stewart. Do you have a second?
Second by Commissioner Gingras.
Thank you. All in favor? Raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay.
So, can I confirm that vote again? Jim
Sorry?
made the motion and
Motion
Clark
by
seconded.
Commissioner Stewart. Second by Commissioner Gingras.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, I will note that that has to still go in the newspaper as a pending, and it has to wait the 15 days. So, but we will get it through the process as quickly as possible.
Okay. Now we're in the other section. 13 Flint Ridge Road. Extend
All right.
existing drainage pipe. Denise?
That would be me. I need,
You
I'll
need
tell
the
you.
file?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a property owner came in and there's an existing, the town has a drainage pipe on their property. And there's a little piece of open area that they would like to just extend the pipe in. I went out there, it's in an, already disturbed area. I do have some photos. That's what we're trying to get to.
Sorry, hold on.
No problem.
Lois, I'm not sure that this is going to work. The one from today, right?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, you said
I
Lois.
said
That's fine.
Lois. I know. Sorry, Denise. I apologize.
Yeah, I put it on the stick drive.
Yeah, no, I have it.
And there should have been two photos and like a clip art.
Yeah, I think I can get the clip art up. That's
Okay.
so hold on one second. Okay.
Okay. Can people see my mouse?
I do.
No. I
Okay, you
can
see-
hold on and I'll make you the
Okay.
hopefully I can do that.
Okay. Nope, looks like you still have control, even though it says I have control.
All right, no, go ahead. It says that you have control now.
Okay. So this is an existing drainage pipe right here. And the little area right through here, this tree line is not exactly accurate. I just tried to get a quick map together. They just want a pipe extended a little further because they have their driveway here. This is all open area, and they have younger kids who play with the neighbors over here. They're constantly running back and forth. So they just wanted to extend the pipe just enough to keep it as from being a hazard. But the pictures, if we can't get the pictures up, that's
Is that actually like a culvert pipe where it's just letting water pass under the road and between these properties?
Yes. Now this area here, you know, there's a documented wetlands, and so they just want to extend a little bit more so that it's not open for the hazard. And while it looks like there's trees here, they're not anticipating there's no trees because I've been out there.
What are they gonna do? Fill it in a little bit above it?
Well, if they put the pipe in, then they're just going to cover over the pipe. It's more of like just a little gully with the water running. And this was back, these photos went back to February, March timeframe.
Actual length of pipe that they're gonna use?
Didn't measure how much. Because we're not going to the wetlands. So, I mean, we would just stop shy of a tree line, but just enough in the disturbed area.
About how many feet do you anticipate?
I mean, we're probably talking 20 feet, maybe 30.
How far is that from the wetlands then?
Can you tell the colors? There's a lighter blue line where my arrow is. That's roughly the limit of the wetlands.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know the scale though. I mean, they're going to definitely be in the setback area.
Oh yeah, I mean, the pipe itself, the pipe now is already in the setback area.
Okay, and we can't see the pictures.
I don't think so.
You know, let me try. Denise, I'm going to take the con from you for a second.
No problem.
Okay.
I mean, if we have to table this one to another time, it's fine. They've been.
What is the condition of the spillway now, Denise?
It's just there's like a head wall. You know, there was decent water flowing back in the end of February.
So it runs constantly?
It was, when I went out there, we had a lot of rain.
Is it like a riprap or something that's
No.
in the?
There's no riprap. It's just, there you go. So you can see in the background, the wetlands towards the back. The anticipation is not going all the way back there, but it's just to extend 20 feet or so. That's all just dead grass, and it's all in a disturbed area.
I would say,
be one
in my
more
opinion,
photo.
Max would be the max pipe would be half the distance between the end of the pipe and the wetlands.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said.
My opinion would be allow them to fill in half the distance from where the pipe ends now.
Yep.
Where the wetlands begins.
Yeah.
As a maximum. They don't have the maximum.
That's why I said maybe 20 feet. Yep. You could kind of see where the head of the pipe is in the photo. You have to look really close, but there is, you know, they just want to connect to that and just.
What kind of pipe is that?
It's they look like a precast pipe. They're not in bad shape. Concrete, yeah.
So they're gonna have to I don't know how most people don't deal, most homeowners don't deal working with concrete pipe.
Right, so, and the town has allowed them to put structures in and then go to a plastic type pipe like HDPE or,
Okay, so there's a protocol. There's a protocol for going from concrete to plastic.
I would, yeah, typically engineering department and public works, when people have tried to do things like this in the past, they have the protocol as to what they will tell them that they have to do. Because you're right, no homeowner is going to be dealing in RCP. Even if, even a small, a 16 or 8 foot length, they're just not going to do that.
Now, what's stopping the kids from just walking 20 feet away over the existing pipe?
His kids are young, and he just feels that the homeowners feel that it's a tripping hazard, so they asked if they could do it.
Okay, so if they put 20 feet of pipe, won't the kids just move down and want to be in the water 20 feet away? I don't know what the benefit is.
I mean, there is a wetland back there. I think he's just trying to keep them from playing in the water and breaking their ankles.
I don't know. Stopping kids from playing in the water. When it's there, 20 feet is 2 seconds further away.
Valid point, Jim.
Is this something he's proposing to do with his own money, or is this something he wants the town to do?
No, the town cannot, because we did the research and there's no town easement on this. So the pipe that's there either was previously put in, or, maybe the town had put it in at one time, but there's no conveyance easement with the town on it. So the town will not be involved. It's all on the homeowner.
Okay.
Well, my opinion is if they want to do this, I think they'd have to come to a meeting or present or something.
Which is fine. That's why I'm trying to find out if it's even something that you might think of allowing. So I'll tell them that they have to really come to a meeting to do some sort of presentation.
And they should also be, before that meeting, they should have their consultation with Highway Department or Engineering and have a full understanding of what they have to do to make it, done properly.
Right.
Because they might just think, oh yeah, we're just throw a pipe in the ground, throw some dirt on top of it. Maybe a little more complex than they're thinking.
Right, and that may deter them from doing it all together.
Exactly.
But since it was asked of us to look into it, I brought it to you to get some input.
I think we do need to know what their reasoning is for doing it, above, like, Jim Stewart's logical question of other places, there's, it's 10 feet farther away and there's already a pipe in the ground. So I say, yeah, ask them to come in.
Okay.
All right. Are we all set with that one?
Yep.
All right. Now we're at V12-04.
Okay.
43 High Rock Road. Remediation issues to be discussed.
So, Lois may remember this, the fact that she's been on the board for a while. I don't know if others, this is one in which it's between two towns. The violation was with us and with Newtown. And this was a case that attorney, why can't I remember his name? He used to be our town attorney, passed away.
Jeremy Hayden.
Thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy was handling this case, and it's been in the courts, and they've been wanting to settle the case. Now there's new people in the town that are working on it. Now, before the pandemic hit, they were the court system was pushing for us to come with a decision as to what we would allow. Attorney Thomas, who represents the property owner, he submitted an application for several things. There's a man-made pond on this property, and there's a building. There was never a permit taken out for the construction or the digging of the man-made pond. the building is in the upland review area. So while he submitted an application for remediation, all that was done was, well, this is a recreational thing, and that's the way it is. I'm trying to get something done. The court system wants to know, what would we allow for settling this whole thing? So what Donna put on the screen, I was trying to just give you an overview for people if they couldn't remember exactly what it looked like. But if you could get into the photos by chance, this might ring some bells, and then you could see the wetland that I was talking about.
I'm recusing myself on this issue. So what would I do at this point? Just not say anything? Question, anybody have an answer to that?
Donna's not on.
Donna?
I do hear you. I'm sorry, say again, what?
I'm recusing myself on this. So
Okay.
what do I do now? Do I
Keith, just turn it over to Lois.
Lois and just keep quiet? Right?
Let's hope
Lois-
my technical difficulties don't.
Let Lois handle it.
All right, Lois, you're in.
Okay, Denise, I really don't remember. I mean, I remember having an issue with High Rock, but I don't remember what it is. And
Well, and
so
that's why I put some photos to kind of show you a little bit of what went on. There was many issues, not just wetlands. There was zoning issues with our town, their town. Obviously, this was well before I came in, so I don't know the whole history with some of the court proceedings and litigation. But now like I said, they're pushing to have some sort of settlement, and the attorneys were trying to figure out what we would be willing to allow. So a couple more photos. That's outside of the upland review area. That's kind of a Joe thing. Okay, one more. So this is now getting to where the wetlands are. That's the man-made pond. Half Boys River is behind it. This is a structure. This is part of a structure that's out there. They call it their pavilion. As you can see, there's that's where he does some maintenance of vehicles and stores vehicles. And attached to it is another little house with a screened-in porch. And as I said, none of this was, and we've got a little beach area in front of the pond, but none of this was ever approved. None of this was ever even applied for a permit. So as part of the court case, what would we allow or not allow towards this? And it's not something that we could figure out tonight.
When was the pond dug?
Pond was dug years ago. It's changed shapes over the years, the course of years. It's gotten bigger and smaller, and now it's bigger again. It's grass bottomed. They claim they swim in it, but there's also fish in it. So there
How much?
That's a good picture. There you can see the structures right near the pond.
How much of this is Newtown and how much of it is ours?
This is in our town.
Of course.
Yes.
I can't see making them fill the pond in.
No. And
but until we get some sort of, drawings of what they're proposing, I'd hate to say, this is what you'd like to do, other than saying, I don't think I'd make them fill the pond in.
And like I said, the application that Dominic Thomas submitted, it just said remediation, and it referred to this as recreational area, and nothing was being proposed for this area. So the part of our question is, do we want some sort of remediation? Are we going to allow those buildings there? Do we want to, have the buildings removed?
I don't know. They don't look very pristine, those buildings.
And the recreational pavilion, as they call it.
I mean, maybe if they took the old cars out and put some picnic tables in there, maybe.
You don't like the cars there?
Oh, I love them. I just, they call it a pavilion.
Shouldn't we at least make sure that the drainage from the pond or the water flow through the pond is up to standards?
They had, there was a report from McManus that he looked at the wetlands both in our town and in Newtown. Not much on the pond. For the matter, when they did the overlay of the map with the upland review area, they didn't even offset the pond as a wetland. And it's like, well, obviously it's a wetland. There's also cattails growing out of it. You know, we've got the vegetation as well.
We have a problem in that this is number one, a violation, and there's been, like, as you said, there've been no permits applied for. Excuse me. If we just allow the whole thing to go on, then that's looking the other way. And that is creating a precedent. So that tells just about anybody they can do whatever they want. We'll look the other way. So I'm have trouble with the concept of filling in the pond also, but I'm thinking that maybe the pavilion should go.
And that's part of what our attorney was saying. What do you think the commission would be looking for? And I agree with you, Lois. I don't see us filling the pond in, but the structure, either to remove the structure, half the structure, don't allow, be very particular as to what they can.
Denise, is the town a party to this lawsuit?
Yes.
In my other life, what we've done in the past is the chairman or someone has met with them and talked about it and come to a tentative agreement, and then it's brought back to the commission with a does this work? You know what I'm saying?
And that's fine. Like I said, Jeremy was handling it, and now there's a new attorney on board, and he actually contacted myself and Joe Chapman, the CEO, trying to find out what concessions that we would have. And I said, I have to discuss this with my board. This is not something I'm going to say to you, this is what you can do. I said, I will tell you that the application that they submitted, does not even address things.
I'm looking at the picture from Google Photos on another computer here,
Yep.
and there's a lot more activity at the site.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Could that be considered, or is that out of scope for this?
Well, that's a lot of the other activity is more for the zoning. Our scanner was down today, so I could not scan this map that I wanted to, that they had submitted of the different areas showing the wetlands offset. Majority, there were 5 areas of what they constituted as regulated areas. 3 of them were in Newtown. And like I said, the pond was another one that they didn't really make mention of. To me, that's the big one that we need to be looking at. Now, on the side of the pond, there's a very large area of dirt that's obviously has grassed over. That's been sitting there for years and years. That dirt was either brought in or, part of the excavation of the pond. But do you really want to touch that at this point? It's stabilized. It's been like that. Those are some of the things that they're kind of looking at, what our thoughts are. Did we lose somebody? I think Lois is talking and I don't hear her.
I don't either.
And we lost
I don't
BJ.
see BJ.
Oh, I'm here. If you're not looking at you, everyone, you won't see me.
Where to start? I lost you again. Can you hear me?
Yep. Nope.
If Lois has 3 connections here, is it possible she's creating a conflict with herself?
Sorry, I'm still having
Yeah.
technical difficulties. Every once in a while, everybody drops out and I can't hear anything. So I don't even know if you can hear me. That's just it. I'm still having, my phone keeps dropping the calls. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I got 4 Loises on my screen.
You have to mute your computer microphone if you have one, Lois.
Here we go. I lost half of that audio. My phone keeps dropping the whole thing. And then I'm nowhere. So yesterday,
You want to type your comments into the chat? Would that help?
We cannot, I was told we cannot use that comment as part of the rules. That will not be accepted as part of the meeting.
So, suggestion.
am I
Somebody was saying that, is it possible that the audio through her computer, that's why it's lagging, that maybe the phone call would be the better way for her?
Can anybody hear?
Oh,
Yes.
Correct.
I think my suggestion would be kill all 3 connections and restart 1.
I agree.
I'm going to start doing charades.
I can't see it.
Off camera. All right.
Calls 4 times. Oh. So even the phone's dropping on her.
Yeah.
We should look closest to.
Is anybody speaking now?
Are you able to hear us, Lois? Can you nod your head if you can hear us?
What did that mean?
I don't think she can hear us.
I don't know how to get out of it. Am I there? Does anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Don, have one.
In front of the camera, sometimes.
Okay.
Can anybody hear? No. Can anybody hear me now?
A little bit.
There seems to be a lag from when she talks to when it comes through.
A large lag.
Yeah.
Lois, if you can hear us, I think you ought to turn your computer off and just call in with your phone.
Yeah. We don't need to see you.
We don't need to see you, Lois. I like your notes, but I would just call in with your phone.
Oh, she's frozen again. Yeah.
Yep.
Audio frequently dropped. On the phone, Lois?
You have a landline?
We're gonna have to table this because we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's the best.
Yeah, because this is a big one anyway, so we really want to be able to discuss it.
Yeah, I think we need something from them, a plan or something that we can look at. and options.
Yeah, and nothing, that was part of
If
the
you don't tell us
problem.
what you want to do, then how can we say, especially without a plan, what we're willing to let them go?
Well, that's where the problem is. It's like the court's pushing for the town to settle, but yet we don't have any plans submitted that address the wetlands violation.
Then we can't settle.
Excuse me, let me just make one intervention. I want to just mention, I'll have Commissioner Stewart finish this part of the meeting. Okay.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Lois is in charge.
You are.
I have taken over. Okay, so does any other commissioners have anything they want to say?
Would we have ever allowed this? It's in Upland, or the whole building is in wetlands?
Well, it's in the upland because they created the pond.
Oh,
So the building is in the upland review area. It's as you saw, it's less than 100 feet.
all right. So before the pond was there, it was wetlands, and it was still, if it was built and it was wetlands, it would be an upland.
Yes,
So we would have never allowed it to be built.
correct. Or at least if we did allow them to build the pavilion, they should have had a permit for it.
Then they got to come in for a permit. They got to apply for it, right?
That's what I was pushing, saying we can't just have this pavilion, but do we want to allow the pavilion the way it is, or do we want to have some remediation modifications?
Right, guys, I'm here.
Court is having issues. They're kind of trying to push something, but it's not giving us the chance to really address the problem.
We got to just, we just got to do our thing and not let the courts tell us what to do.
Okay.
I hear that Lois has rejoined on the telephone. Are you caller 08? Is that?
I
Lois?
must be. I no idea. I am here, however. I can hear you now.
Oh, I could hear you great.
Okay, I'm going to turn the meeting back over to Lois.
Okay.
Oh,
And we
good.
can see
You
you
got
as
to remember, I
caller
missed
08.
the last 5 minutes of it. So, I'm sorry. Can you refresh me, guys? If you want me to lead this thing, I'm going to need a little refreshing.
Well, Lois, we really didn't cover anything when you were gone. We just stared at you and tried to make out what you were saying most of the time. But I think we were gonna table this and have the staff try to get more out of the applicant as far as information.
Okay. I think that sounds like a good idea.
And I'm certainly willing to, if the attorney needs a staff member to meet with the other attorneys and the judge and talk about it. Hey, I'm always free. So
you'll meet with
Okay.
them?
sure.
Okay.
I can do that too.
Okay.
So, all right. Sounds. I agree with the tabling a concept, at least until we can talk without constant interruption. So this is a good idea. Okay.
Okay.
Do we have to vote to table it? No. So is Keith going to come back?
He's on mute right now.
I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
All right, so that was tabled. So we're on to
500.
WC-2016. Changes to approved plans. Is agent approval a possibility?
So while the plans get put up, so 500 Pepper Street is, it was approved. Right now they're in front of planning and zoning with some modification for, I guess it's a new tenant. Some of the changes, one of the changes they proposed was to put a pedestrian bridge, and that's being in the Upland review area. Picnic tables are in the Upland review area. Because of that, that's where we were questioning. Like I said, they're in front of P&Z right now. P&Z saw these things in the upland review area and basically said, you need to discuss with wetlands prior. Let's see. So Mary from Stoli provided me with some plans.
Waiting for the plans.
Yep. Because I can't access anything.
I'm sorry, which one?
On your Pepper Street.
Okay, hold on. Please hold. This is the one on the corner of Cambridge and Pepper, right? The new building?
The Kruba building. I don't know if it's still Kruba, but that's what everybody refers to it as. And Kevin's
Right.
shaking his head, so I know I'm still good. Okay.
Okay.
So if you. Okay, I have control now. Okay. Or so I
I
think.
can't read it. It's so small.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to get to the plans. It's not letting me get down.
Hold on.
There we go. Okay. So the wetlands are through here. This line here is what is constituted as the delineated wetlands. And I'm trying to find, so the upland review area is up in this area right here. So there's a pedestrian bridge that they're talking about that they would like to put, and there were some picnic tables back here. The fact that these structures are in the upland review area, but you know, it's minor things. So we didn't know whether we could do this as an agent approval.
Denise, may I ask you to describe verbally what you're talking about, since I can't see the picture? I do have the GIS map up so I can see a picture of the property, but I don't know where you're referring to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lois, that's right, you're not online. Behind, to the rear of the front of the building faces Pepper Street. To the rear of it are wetlands that they're talking about putting a pedestrian bridge and then a little bit of a picnic area back there. It's in the upland.
Behind the building?
Behind the building.
So this is along the driveway that goes up to 50 Cambridge. And
No.
I don't see any area for a footbridge.
There's a driveway that comes off of Pepper, and then there's the driveway that comes off of Cambridge, or is that Enterprise?
That's good question. That's
and I'm gonna let Kevin speak up for a sec. Kevin Soley speak up right now with the drawing up. Kevin?
Kevin.
Did we lose him? He just
You sent us a picture. Unmute number 2, whatever that means.
Oh, caller number
Okay.
2?
Unmute number 2, he said.
Okay.
Great.
Come
Hi,
on.
thanks. Yeah, I can just offer some real quick clarification on this. So the detention basin that was constructed when they planted the lawn seed around the detention basin, it kind of created some really nice private areas back there. That's just kind of really nice environment. So as part of this modification, the owner, Dwayne Karuba, it is going to be still Karuba. He just really liked that area and wanted to provide a place for his employees to potentially go back there and just sit and eat and have lunch. I wanted to make it a point, though, that a lot of these items that we're looking for or we're requesting are kind of optional items. There are things that he's looking at potentially installing, but he wanted to get the Planning and Zoning Commission's approval as part of our modification, so that he has the ability to pursue these in the future. He's not necessarily, definitely putting them in. He just wants their approval so that if he elects to do it, he can do that through just a zoning permit rather than having to go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for approval for any of these items. The items in the Upland Review area is a small, Lois, if you remember the project, in the back of the building, there's a detention basin. There's an area on that detention basin where he wants to propose a small pedestrian bridge just over the basin itself to get to the grass berm area on the far side. So in between the basin and the woods and the property line, where then they would just have a path to walk along the top of that basin to a picnic table, which is kind of parked up on the berm for the basin itself. So what we're requesting is these items we were hoping could be dealt with administratively, because we didn't want to have to come back before this commission for formal approval. If this commission feels like any of these items are something that would need a full application and PAM approval, we'd probably just pull those from what's being considered with planning and zoning, because after several years of construction, they're finally ready to try to open in June or July. So we want to try to memorialize all these minor changes with planning and zoning, have them approve these other options, other possible improvements as optional improvements. But if any of these items are something that the commission feels would need commission approval rather than agent approval, then we would probably just pull those items off the list so that we don't hold up or further delay the processing of the PAM with planning and zoning. But those are just to rehash what Denise said, yeah, the only real items from a wetland standpoint are this little footbridge over the detention basin itself, and a few picnic tables up in the back by the detention basin.
Okay. Denise, do you think it's minor enough that the staff could do that easily?
I do see that we could do that as an IAA, especially since the site has a inland wetland approval to it. To me, the picnic tables and this bridge are really small in scope and nature.
Okay, well then I can support the staff making that approval.
I agree.
Agree.
All agree?
I have a
Anybody just-
question.
I hear Lois talking.
I just have a quick question. This little footbridge, how little? Are you talking about any kind of foundation for the ends? Are we talking about just a one-piece thing that's kind of plopped over the top? There's different types of footbridges, and some of which might be more involved than others.
There would likely be small foundations on either side, just because we're looking. Dwayne's trying to consider a nice looking arch bridge, which would kind of go over the detention basin. So there would be concrete footings on each side. Those footings they'd be obviously within the regulated area, but they'd be within the limits or on the edges of the detention basin itself. and they'd be located so that they wouldn't adversely impact the stormwater in any way.
And they'd probably be
Okay.
pile foundations anyway, right?
It'd probably be concrete sonotubes.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as there's some kind of documentation that's given to Denise so that she has backup.
Okay. Any other comments from any commissioners? No?
Not for me.
No,
So we're gonna allow this to be an agent approval on this, or do we just?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
We're gonna allow this to be an agent approval.
If they do the elements.
Oh, it's tough to not see everybody's.
Yeah, you can allow it to be an agent approval as long as the commission agrees, that's fine.
Right.
Do we need to vote?
We'll vote anyway.
Motion IWC 2016-11, 500 Pepper Street shall be approvable by the agent.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart to allow agent approval. Second.
approved.
Second, like, from Commissioner Hall. All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and both. I think
Lois,
that's
aye.
right. We are off to the next.
Okay.
All right, we got the deliberation section.
Oh, boy.
Shush. So deliberations is the 17 Enterprise?
Yes. Any commissioner have anything they want to discuss about?
Motion that we approve the minor changes to 17 Enterprise.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Gingrich,
Second.
second by
Mr. Stewart.
Commissioner Stewart. Any discussion, or are we voting, go straight to vote?
Are there any conditions?
Do you mean new conditions as in addition to what we had prior?
Right.
All the
Any commissioner have any
previous
conditions
standard
you want?
conditions.
Anybody
Okay,
want to add any
standard.
conditions to this approval?
All
No.
the previous
No.
conditions to stand.
All right, so we have a
Let me go to
motion.
my
We'll
phone
take a
again.
vote. All in favor? Raise your hand, say aye.
Wait.
All right.
Lois is saying something, and did you hear that?
I'm sorry, no.
I
Lois, you have
said,
the floor, please.
okay, I said that all of the previous standard conditions and previous conditions from the original approval should stand, including the monitoring, the monitoring of the plants and plantings. That's all I had said.
Okay.
Thank you. Does that mean we are voting again?
Yes, please.
Lois, what is your vote?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody else, aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now on to bond release reduction reports.
Yep.
We have IWC 2014-09, 36 Timothy Hill Road. Remaining bond release requested.
What did I just do with my? Yeah, the pictures will kind of say a million things. This was Timothy Hill where we had allowed a reduction, and it was said, I think it was Commissioner Weinberg that said just remove the one bridge on the property, or well, remove the bridges. We have since found out that one bridge is actually on 64 Cambridge, and the other bridge is on 36 Timothy, according to the latest survey. So 36 Timothy went in, the photos, Donna, the one above.
Oh, I thought that's what I was, oh, okay, sorry.
It's okay. So, I think that was the first one. So they went in per what we had told them to go in and remove the bridge. And these photos were taken for me. I personally did not go out alone. So that's do I have control of it, or do you still have it, Donna?
Yeah, you should.
Okay. That should be, okay. So that's one of the bridges that's still there. And where's the next one? Okay, this was the bridge that they removed, and that's how it was left. And they want us to release the remainder of the bond because they have since pulled the bridge out.
It's a gaping hole. Oops, sorry.
I mentioned that. I said, well, now we have a hole. And they're like, well, it's a wetland. I'm like, now it's a hole. The wetland used to go, crossed over. So I don't know whether the commission is willing to release the remainder of the bond. I think there was still another $20,000 or $25,000 left. Because we released half of it, if I'm not mistaken. But in their mind, they've done what was asked of them.
Denise, is this the application where I had the bet with Mr. Weinberg that it would get screwed up?
Yes.
Okay, I just want the record to show that I was right. You got that, Donna?
It's recorded.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion. We reject the request to release the remainder of the bond.
I second that.
So I have I'll wait. Sorry.
We have a motion to deny the release of the remainder of the bond. We have a second.
Who was the second?
I think Clark was.
Yeah, I second.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we want to give a reason why?
Thank you. That's what I was going to ask, Keith. Because
the reason why is that there's still a open wet hole in the ground left where that bridge is, and they still have not removed the bridge on the second parcel.
Well, let me ask you, the problem is that's now on someone else's property because the bridges were not built where they were supposed to be. So they refused to go on to somebody else's property to remove the first bridge.
Yeah, but I still hold that bond was set up for both properties.
Understood.
So
is that fair to that property to make him responsible for something off his property?
Yeah.
It's not his. It's not his land. And unfortunately for him and for anybody else, this was built. These bridges were built by the property owner. He used to own this, and he used to own the other piece, right?
Yeah, but he bought the liability when he bought the property.
You can't. How can you assign a liability off your property to this property?
He got that. He got the bond with the property, and the bond was assigned to two properties. So, I mean, if I buy a big property and I put up a bond and I dig a giant hole in it and I sell half of it to someone else, you're going to give me my bond back?
So it wasn't his actions. Wasn't his
It doesn't
current
matter.
owner's action.
It doesn't matter. It's still the bond. The bond is to the town to guarantee that they restore the properties in the application, and they didn't do that.
Let me ask you this. What if the other property allows him to access that property from the other bridge? What if he refuses him access?
He could refuse him access, then he
So the
doesn't get
guy's
his bond
bond
back.
stays in whatever the hell that word is,
Perpetuity.
perpetuity, until
Yes.
someone decides to go over there and remove that
Yes,
bridge?
until such time as and then our next choice is to issue an order.
What?
We tell the other property owner that they got to remove their bridge. They're in a violation. We issue a violation, and then the other owner has to do it.
But what's going to force him to do it? He's got no bond.
What forces him is the fact that he has to hire an engineer to come see us. At that point, he might say to the neighbor, "Go pull my bridge out."
I don't know. Does that sound like something that's going to work?
Well, it works less well if we don't have a bond. But I'm still holding my motion. It's still not done correctly.
So let's be very specific in the denial.
What do you want to see here?
Yeah, you have to be let's be very specific so that we're not there. You know, these people should have. I mean, he already came out. His property owner came out and did, you know, whether we're satisfied or not, he did make the effort to clean up what's on his property. Okay, and if it was unsatisfactory, we owe him the description of the fault so that he can go out and have it fixed. So we want to be very specific as to why we're just. Some people may look at this and say there's no bridge there anymore, and that was what the problem was. Some people like us would say it's gone, but it's not, you know, restored properly, whatever the case may be. You need to be very specific in what he needs to do, this property owner needs to do in order to satisfy the bond release.
Well, I would say he's got to restore the area to the previous grading and stabilize it.
So that's Denise, you did not go out to this site.
No, this was back, they had wanted to release this back in March when I was sick. Somebody else went out and took a look at it, and these were the photos.
Who did go out?
Rick Schultz did, and took some photos.
Okay.
If I go out, I would like someone to be with me because I don't want to be walking out there alone.
Okay. That could be easily arranged, I think.
Yep.
So I think in order to do that properly, we're going to want to have a representative from the property owner, you, and whoever is going to be your chaperone. And then
Say the last thing? I didn't hear the last one.
whoever's going to be your chaperone.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, the first time we went, there was, you know, the various departments went together, so that was good.
okay.
So do you just want to not make the decision on that then? Table it?
I'm gonna just tell you, I hear from the property owner a lot as to what's going on with this. So, you know, I don't know whether we want to give some sort of guidance to them.
We have to give them some kind of guidance.
Yeah.
You know, the bridge is gone.
What?
So if he got the wrong communication somehow, somewhere there was a breakdown, whether the contractor that was hired didn't get a full idea of what he had to do. You know, I think this guy's out of town, so he's not there personally. So somehow we got to clarify. I mean, he's clearly hired, you know, brought someone there to do this work.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Spath Bjorklund that hired the person or the property owner themselves, because Spath was the one that had represented them for this.
Yep.
And then call to tell us that it was done.
One of the other things that was requested of him to do was to remove the silt fences. Was that done?
In most areas, yes.
Most areas.
Once again, it's very difficult to tell whose property is whose.
Yeah.
You know, you might see a couple stakes here and there. You know, the orange construction fence, there's still some, but it appears that it's on the adjacent property.
Do we have the paperwork for the original? What was our actual description? I'm losing them. I don't have the words.
Our original motion?
What do we relay to this property owner that he has to do in order to release this bond? What is the actual? Where was it written? Was it verbal?
I don't have the actual wording, but when we released part of it, it was basically pull the bridges out.
Yeah, when we released the first time, there was no requirement on it. We just reduced the amount of the bond because of work he had done.
Right.
So what did we need to be fair, we have to determine what this guy did that was short of what we explained to him he had to do. So,
well, I would say, Denise, if you could write him a letter of what you believe he should complete to get the remainder of the bond back.
That's not Denise.
I'll be voting against it, but that way at least we can move along.
I mean,
that's
not the commission's job to do that. What does the commission want to see?
I think that
Metropolis, if I could chime in.
Sorry?
The property 36 Timothy.
I don't.
This is Peter Metropolis.
Yeah, Peter, hold on for just a second. Let's clarify.
No, Peter, this is not for you.
Oh, well. If you guys have a question, I'm here.
This is not open discussion, right? Input.
This is not open for discussion.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, we'll we're trying to work through this for you right now, so you'll hear what we have to, what we determine shortly.
Kevin Soley wrote a message.
Kevin Soley did.
No, you know what? This chat is not supposed to be being used during the meeting. It will not be used.
Okay.
That was in the regs that came out of the selectman's office.
Okay, my apologies. But okay, so I think there's a motion and a second, so we got to keep going.
Yes, we do. So we have. So my concern is that if we ask the guy to remove a bridge and he removed the bridge, there's no bridge there anymore. If it was supposed to be specific as how it's to be done or how it's supposed to look, if we didn't give that information, now look, you may be okay with, a comment saying, yeah, I'll dress it up a little bit better. He may not. A removal is a removal. If it's not there, and if someone went out there and verified that it's no longer there, I personally don't see how we could hold this back. But I don't have in front of me specifically the communication in our previous discussion that detailed what had to be done in respect to this bridge removal.
I think we should get a legal opinion on whether we hold the bond for the entire original project or whether we're duty bound to release it because one owner now owns it.
One owner, it's two owners.
Well, you're saying that only one owner has the bond.
Yes,
One
that's-
property owner has the bond, but he no longer owns a portion of what the bond was covering.
Yes.
Now, I see the problem that you're bringing up. I understand it, but if we're drawing lines, we're right now addressing this man's property and only this man's property.
Well, that's fine, but still, how do you release the bond when it covers both properties?
Both bridges, which happen to be on two properties.
Mm-hmm. And all the silt fence and anything else that's wrong.
Well,
And
the
if
bond, who instituted the bond? Who requested the bond?
36 Timothy has requested the bond.
Request a release, but who levied the bond, so to speak, in the beginning, initially? Who requested the bond? Because when he bought the property, right, he had a bond to clean up this mess from the previous owner. But the bridge, understand that there was an error in surveying, and no one realized that the second bridge was not part of his land purpose. Right? Is that correct?
Right. The original drawing showed two bridges. It was assumed both bridges were part of it because that's the way when the bond was first done. Those bridges were both on 36 Timothy. When the survey was done is when we found out that one is on 36 Timothy and one is on 64 Cambridge. Or 4.
So let me ask you this. Did the property owner at Timothy, did he ever own both bridges? Ever? Did he ever legally own the land that both bridges was on?
No.
Can't answer that. I don't believe so, because when the survey came through, that's when it was found that one is on one property, one is on the other.
So if he never owned it, how could he ever be responsible for it? Regardless of where the bond is. The bond was a bond that was given out when he bought the property to perform a task on the land he was buying. How could you, whether the description of the bond was accurate or not, how could you say the bond for a piece of property goes over the property line and addresses something that the man was never purchasing?
I want to put my 2 cents in here, if I
Go ahead,
may.
Lois.
I kind of agree with Jim in that I think we need a legal opinion. Just because, now this bond, I believe, was originally posted by the owner of 64 Cambridge, and that portion of Timothy Hill was part of 64 Cambridge. Now, he subdivided it, and I guess the owner of Timothy Hill had to pay him for the bond. I don't quite understand how all that transpired. But the fact that it was subdivided after the bond was posted, and that just happens to be that there's 2 violations on the 2 individual segments that were subdivided, that sounds to me like we need a legal opinion. I understand what you're saying, Keith, and I agree. I think that the commission dropped the ball in not being more specific on what we wanted to have done before we released any part of the bond. But we got to deal with the cards. We got to play with the cards we've got right now. But I think we do need a legal opinion on this one, because this is sticky. There's no doubt about it.
Now, legal opinion aside, if what was done, we have to address with what was done with the removal of the bridge, is that an acceptable thing or not?
We did not give instructions on, all we said was remove the bridge. Technically, legally, he fulfilled what we asked him to do. And that's our fault, once again, for not being more specific and for giving up easily under pressure. So that's, if I were to look at this, if I had a legal bent and I were to look at this, I'd say, yeah, he did what he was told. You know, that we didn't go any further than that. But because of the fact that there's two bridges and two pieces of property that happened afterwards, I think needs a legal consultation.
So,
Okay, I'm going to withdraw my motion. Okay, if Clark withdraws his second.
I withdraw my second.
Okay, I'm going to withdraw my motion, make a new motion that we request a legal opinion on this issue prior to releasing any additional bonds, and that Denise create a revised report on the issues remaining on this application.
about,
Now,
well, there's a motion. So is there a second to that?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Hall. I would like to add a change to that. I would add to hold to your logic about the opinion. I would add that if it is found that what was done was sufficient based on what we had requested and what information we shared with the property owner, and everything was done to the, satisfactorily, I guess, that come back. So the release conditioned on all legal clearing of our concerns, so to speak. Release based on our concerns being addressed and cleared. Does that make sense? It's like a conditional.
What I heard of it.
Right now. So if we don't have another meeting for another month, whatever, and this is figured out, it's over.
I'm not catching.
I don't think we can condition a release of a bond on someone else's report.
No, I think the question now is whether or not he has to take out the other bridge.
Well, I think we're going to have to come back next meeting and decide from, if we get a legal opinion, what we're going to request him to do.
do we want Barbara at the next meeting to discuss this, or do you give me authority to talk to Barbara and have her draft something to the commission to explain so we have a record of it?
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, either one.
Draft something up for us to give to the commission members.
I like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So the motion was to request legal advice by Jim and BJ, seconded. And then Keith asked about making a condition. And now we are to Denise
I think I'm
requesting.
going to withdraw my suggestion of a condition because it didn't sound like that was the way to go.
Okay.
But Denise also to write a report, a deficiencies report or bond release report. If there are any what are the remaining issues in staff's mind on that project?
Okay.
Do you want a legal opinion and a report from Denise?
Yeah.
I do see where, this is kind of a tough situation to be in because what happened with the property lines, and there's a description on the bond, but technically the land no longer, doesn't carry both of the, the bond conditions, although it's written in there. It's not maybe.
So are you doing the vote or are you tabling until the next meeting?
We tabling? Was it a vote to table? Yeah. Was it a motion to table it?
No, there wasn't a motion to table it. There was a motion for legal advice.
Okay.
And now a report from Denise.
Good idea. I'm going to modify my motion to include tabling it.
Okay. It's not a denial. It's a table.
Correct.
Tabling till we have additional information.
Yeah.
Okay.
next week. Okay. So do you want to take a vote then?
You have a second on that motion?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Lois? You're-
Yeah, you still can't see me, huh?
No.
Aye, yes.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right, so motion
Now,
passes.
Look at
Table,
that. Welcome
table,
back.
table based up for legal opinions.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so now we're on to
Lois, we can see you now.
Yeah, I
IWC
switched devices again.
IWC-2014-11, 464 Main Street, bond release requested.
Okay, this is, this one I believe was tabled or denied the last time when I was not there at the meeting in March, due to lack of information. I have been out to the site. The rills in the slopes of the detention basin have been rip-drapped. There were some trees within the basin that had were laying on their sides. I talked to Mary from Soli. They have now since been staked and put up. So I'm fine with all that. Now, one thing the commission was looking for was a letter from, it said, the way it was written was from a professional, AK William Kenny, because he, I guess, was part of the project in the beginning as a presenter. So yes, that's the perfect thing to open. So I had Mary, who wrote the letter that addressed the one concern that the in the Wetlands Commission had. I had her write a blurb about her background to see if you're amenable to her background and accepting the letters she wrote that fulfilled the so where it says, I am a landscape architect with a BS in landscape architect from UMass. Relevant coursework covered landscape ecology and horticulture practices related to plant establishment and maintenance. I'm also been certified as Connecticut accredited nursery professional since 2011. The CANP design is obtained by working in the horticultural industry, taking a 13-week course and passing a written and plant identification exam. Took the course and exam during my time working as a retail nursery manager for 7 years. The course and exam covered topics such as botany, soil nutrition, plant disease, insects, environmental conditions, weeds, plant identification, and design. My CANP certification and my LA license require continuing education credits, which are obtained by attending certified conferences, workshops, seminars, among other things. Most recently in March, I attended the Ecological Landscape Alliance annual conference, a 2-day event with 10 seminars, which included topics on rain gardens and bioretention facilities, why they fail, and tools for success. I've also been conducting and submitting the annual IW monitoring reports for various sites in town of Monroe. We had a question about the detention basin and the outflow due to the under drains, which she addressed. That was what that and the fact that the bank wasn't fully stabilized were part of the reason why they were not they was denied or not released in its entirety from our commission. So as I said, there's some photos that I had taken prior, and then the 3 photos are after they staked the trees up. So now those trees have been staked and have the chance to continue surviving. And I had asked her for the blurb to see whether it's acceptable to have Mary write the letter, or you're still looking for a different type of professional. So that's the basin. The tree that was kind of in the foreground, there were two or three trees that were laying on the side. They have since been staked, and I took a quick ride around there today, and they're fine.
Is that duckweed? Is that duckweed all over that pond?
I don't know what duckweed is.
Duckweed is those little tiny green leaves that kind of mesh together and make a carpet.
No, when I was out, that to me, you know, when ponds get really stagnant and they're just kind of the green, like algae, that's what it looked like when I was out there.
Wow.
I've
Okay.
seen, I know what you're talking about. I have seen a pond. It almost looks like a lawn.
Yeah.
Because it's, no, this isn't quite like that. It's duckweed. Duckweed's not good, I guess.
Well, algae's no better.
No, I know algae's not good, but.
So they didn't create a functioning wetland like they said they were gonna.
Well, I did talk to the engineering about it, and because I asked about that when I saw that there was some algae, and I was told that the basin was performing the way it was designed.
Okay.
That
All
was
right.
a question I did ask.
You're good? You're good with it?
Me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then I make a motion, we release the bond.
I second it.
A motion by Commissioner Stewart to release the bond, second by Commissioner Gingras. All in favor, aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Like I said, there's monitoring reports for the next 3 years, so if duckweed or it continues, we'll be able to get that addressed then too.
All righty. IWC 2014-13, 5 Victoria Drive, bond release requested.
Okay. So 5 Victoria has requested the release of their bond. There's 2 bonds associated with 5 Victoria. In 2016, the Wetlands Commission had approved, and that's where Soccer Olay or Olay Soccer is. And then there was the remediation. Now this abuts 4 Main Street. So the one bond that's kind of addresses the front part, and then there was a second bond, which was a $30,000 bond, which addressed the remediation area, which is really associated with the land swap that is going on with 4 Main. So we're removing the $30,000 bond release because the property hasn't been transferred over yet. And if we release the bond, we have nothing.
I'm going to recuse myself, let Lois take over.
Yes, I agree with you, Denise. I think holding that bond until the land swap has officially legally taken over sounds like a good idea.
Okay, so now they're asking for the one associated with the site itself, which is the $110,000 bond.
Everything, they've done everything, have they not?
Well, they have done everything. Now, I was out there back in November because we had a monitoring report had been submitted.
Mm-hmm.
So I had gone out and taken some photos. When I was out there, noticed that there's some silt fence that hadn't been removed, even though the site's been stabilized. There was an area, this is something else that it's not necessarily associated with the bond, but I did notice an area where it seems that they're throwing grass clippings in an area that's an upland review area, which has to stop. But the biggest thing is we had an IAA associated with the Hall Road, which was to do some remediation and grading. Part of that was putting up wetlands markers. Wetlands markers have not been put up. Now, it took a little bit to figure out, but in the IAA, it makes reference to the Inland Wetland Commission approval for the site. So in my mind, and I did talk to Barbara a little bit, the lack of the inland wetlands markers being up, even though it was under the IAA, really ties in with the bond associated with the commission approval. So the fact that those haven't been put up, that's one of the things. Now, there is an asphalt driveway that we had that remained, which was part of the remediation that was going to be done in the back portion, which is the parcel that's being conveyed to 4 Main. Now, if that parcel is being conveyed to 4 Main, we've got this asphalt driveway that more than likely should be removed on 5 Victoria. The asphalt should be taken out and we should topsoil and seed. So knowing those couple of things, we probably could reduce the bond, but definitely not in its entirety.
Okay, what do you recommend that we reduce it to?
There was about 40 inland wetland markers I put on a map that should be put up. Silt fence isn't a big deal.
They just cut the silt fence, right? They don't pull it out.
In that case, they just cut it, remove any of the stakes. So that's not a big thing. It's really the markers that we want up and then the asphalt driveway.
Now, is it the entire drive? How much of the, excuse me, the driveway is on their property and how much is on 4 Main?
Well, it doesn't necessarily go to 4 Main. It stops well before 4 Main.
Oh.
It was kind of we kept it there, or it was kept there. My understanding, it was kept there so that there could be access without doing other disruption. They could use that asphalt driveway. But if 4 Main gets conveyed to somebody else, they wouldn't be going through 5 Victoria to do remediation. They would be coming from their property.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why this driveway should really be removed, and it's beyond the courts.
Okay. So we're talking about being removed, loamed, and seeded, right?
Correct.
And are we talking wetland seed, or this is an upland?
It's in an upland.
Okay. So perhaps we can, what will you recommend us retaining?
Maybe half of what they're asking for. So that would keep, we would keep 50, what is it? It was 110. So we'll say we keep 55 or 60 of it.
It's okay with me. Anybody else have any opinions as to any of that? Don't all speak at once.
I have something to say. This is no longer, this part is nothing to do with 4 Main Street, my client's property, correct? Or is it?
No, the $30,000 bond that we've taken off the table does relate to 4 Main Street. So that's why we're not even looking at that right now.
Okay, so that's, but we're talking about what happened at Old.
I'm talking the front portion. I'm not discussing anything about.
Which is not part of the property.
I lost you, Keith.
Lost you, Keith.
What?
We lost you. Your mic went out.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This part, this driveway you're talking about having removed is not going to part on the property. Is going to be transferred over to 4 Main Street. Or is it?
No, the driveway is on 5 Victoria. It goes towards the property that's going to be transferred over. There may be a small portion that is on 4 Main, depending upon where you end up with the property line with the transfer. But
okay, how many linear feet of that driveway? I'll chime in on this because this is really not related to feelings. How many linear feet of that driveway that's on the whole thing from the parking lot back?
No, I would say we remove the whole driveway, because if we keep the driveway there, say they, 4 Main Street does their remediation, there's still this driveway coming from 5 Victoria, which almost opens it up for, hey, this is upland area. People could do what they want up here. So we want to get rid of that, no matter what.
My question is, the whole entire starts at the end of the parking lot, right?
It starts at the end of the parking lot. And it does not go all the way.
I've seen it. It stops.
Yeah, right.
It stops like right there and just.
It might be in the photos that we have if you wanted to see it in the photos that I had. But yeah, it stops. It's just beyond the courts, and it goes into the nice big open up.
Let me offer something that might be a little more fair. Okay. A price per square foot of about probably $7.50.
Well, we also have all the wetlands though, markers.
Oh, no, plus that. I'm saying it for the driveway part.
Wait a minute, what's the $7.50 representing?
It's a cost to remove the asphalt, replace it with topsoil.
And seed it?
And seed it?
And seed it, yes.
Well, it
so
doesn't
if it's
matter
10 feet by 300 feet, 3,000 square feet. What?
I said, this isn't really a matter of being fair, because they're going to get it all back as soon as they do. This could be done like in a weekend or a week.
This has been around since 2016, and I've asked them to do the wetlands markers since last year.
It's fine. I just offered it up there as a quantifiable way to come up with a number. That's all.
Okay.
If someone questions, you, how did you come up with only half? I don't know. It's just throwing something out there that would, be a little more concrete.
Maybe I don't have a photo of it. I thought I did, Donna. Okay, there it is. You could see it in the background. There's the driveway. So that's why we want to get rid of it, because that's only enticing people to go back there.
Is that being mown?
Yeah.
Why?
This was in November, first of all. This was in November. They may be maintaining it. I'd have to go back.
Are they supposed to be? Weren't they supposed to let that go natural?
I believe that while they're doing the monitoring, that it's allowed to be cut maybe twice a year.
Okay, could you do us a favor and check that, please?
Yep.
And all right, Keith, I did your math, and if it is 3,000 square feet, it comes to 22.5. So if we wanted to be a little bit more fair and not keep all 55 for now.
Yeah, we gotta remember, Lois, let me just interrupt you. I'm taking a guesstimate as to what the length is. I didn't measure it. I didn't measure it to say, so don't take that like I went out there at a wheel and measured that thing.
Okay. Well, if it was 3,000 square feet, it would be 22,500. So we're not that far off when you add the markers and everything else. Say we do 40,000, or something, if you want to be a little, because they have done a majority of the work, but we need enough. We need to keep enough to make them do it. Denise has been at it for 4 years.
I agree with that. I'm just, like I said, I just offered a formula to have something that's a little more concrete than just saying half. That's all.
I have a map. I'm trying to see if I could get the length. Come on, where's the scale? Scale. It's 40. So 4, 8, 12, 16. 16. I'm looking at about like 200 linear feet. That's what it looks like.
And how wide is it?
It's maybe 16 feet. I don't have a scale. I'm trying to go by the bar scale and.
You're real close, Keith. That comes to 3,200. You're a good estimator there, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, so I would like to make a motion that we release all except $40,000 of the bond, with the conditions that the wetland markers and the driveways, the markers are installed, the driveway removed, the area loamed and seeded with conservation mix.
Second.
You said the silt fence, right?
Oh, yes, and the silt fence cut off.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yes, thank you for,
Did you get all that, Denise?
So it's all except $40,000, which includes the removal of silt fence, the installation of inland wetlands markers, and the driveway removal and looming with conservation mix.
Okay. And it was Lois, and who was second?
I heard several seconds.
It looks like BJ
BJ?
did.
Does that driveway removal, does that include taking the process out, if that's what's underneath it?
Ooh, good point. Well, does it matter if it's going to be loamed?
Process, you can't grow. I mean, you put 2 inches of soil on there, it's gonna burn in the summer.
The number that I threw out there would include taking out whatever value that would be replaced with.
Like the 4 inches of process.
I better throw it in there just to be safe. So the driveway and the process below it, if that's the way it's to be presented.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you.
All right, so the motion is been, I'm sorry, it was motion by which commissioner?
Me.
Lois. Commissioner Spence, seconded by Commissioner Hall. All in favor? Say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. I'm gonna abstain from this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so we're done with that. So now we're on to IWC 2018.
That's the 575 Monroe Turnpike.
Yes.
They requested the release of the bond from Wetlands. Been out there, everything is done, complete, and fine.
Okay.
Move to release the bond.
Motion from Commissioner Lois Spence to release the bond.
Second.
Yes, second from Commissioner Gingrich. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay.
Okay. No time extensions. We're on IWC activities report. Agent approval, you want to go through those, Denise?
Sure. Agent approvals, IAA 2020-02, 148 Osborne Lane. It's the permitting of an existing deck. IAA 2020-03, 4 Vincent Road, permitting of a new installation of a new split rail fence. IAA 2020-04, 21 Bardagon Lane, installation of an in-ground pool. IAA 2020-05, 17 Sherrill Drive, installation of an in-ground pool. IAA 2020-08, 235 Elm Street, pool replacement, same location, same footprint. IAA 2020-09, 32 Milo Drive, installation of a split rail fence. IAA 2020-10, 9 Plummer Lane, installation of an up-ground pool and surrounding deck.
Okay, a lot of pools this year.
It's because of the COVID. It's amazing.
Yeah, maybe the hot thing this year.
Yep.
Okay, over to permitted use as of right, IPU-2018-01, Department of Public Works, road repair, replacement, and general maintenance. IW regulations, sections 4.2C, expiration 3/28/2023. The addresses listed are scheduled for maintenance, cleaning, repair under the listed public works permit: 99 Camelot Drive, 31 Trailside Drive, 465 Webb Circle, 120 Jockey Hollow Road, 233 Wheeler Road. Let's see, IPU dash 2020-07. Removal of debris, IPU dash 2020-08. 84 Forest Drive, removal of dead trees and pruning. IPU dash 2020-09. 42 Richards Drive, removal of dead trees and pruning. Enforcement deliberations. Do we have anything at this point?
No.
Okay. General discussions, the minutes of February 26, 2020 and March 11, 2020.
I haven't had a chance to read them because I didn't get my packet until 6:30 tonight.
Table at the next meeting?
The February ones you guys should have had already.
Yeah, I had them somewhere. God only knows where. I don't recall adding any 3 months ago. Move to approve the February minutes as drafted.
We have a motion to approve the February minutes by Commissioner Spence. Do you have a second? Second by Commissioner Gingrich. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Ooh. All right, so we're going to table the March, wait. You want to table the March?
Okay.
What do you want to do with March?
You want to give me 5 minutes? Let me read them. Everybody else could read them too.
You're asking a lot, Lois.
I know, apparently. God, March was so long ago. Holy moly. Actually, you know what? I'd have to listen to the meeting again to see if these minutes are correct. So I'll re-listen to the recording if it's there. And can we table this till next time?
Sure.
Do a motion for that or just?
I don't
No,
think
you can just take
Right.
one.
March 11th minutes are tabled to the next. Regulation Amendment Committee.
We submitted our amendments a long time ago. They've kind of got lost again.
Public Outreach Committee.
Same thing.
All right. I think this meeting is ready to wrap up. Adjourns 9:31 p.m.
Move to adjourn.
to adjourn. Oh, wait.
Second.
Man, it's been a long time. A long time. I thought I had, that was my power. All right, so I'm sorry. We have a motion to end the meeting by Commissioner Spence and a second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All right.
Good night.
Meeting adjourned. Still 9.
Good night, all. Thank you.
Good night.
Sarah.
Later.